thank the subcommittee members for their questions. I think the only major topic that hasn't been touched on is the Space Force, and I would like to give General Hyten a few minutes here to summarize his ideas for the Space Force.
Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity. I think there's a couple things I'd like to share with the committee. I think first and foremost, I appreciate this committee taking on space as a warfighting challenge a couple years ago, and I very much appreciate the President weighing in and talking about space as a warfighting domain. It is a place now that we conduct military operations. It's a place that our adversaries are building capabilities and deploying capabilities to threaten us in space, and we have to deal with it seriously. I think the most important thing we can do in the near term is stand up a new unified command, moving space out from under my command, out from under U.S. Strategic Command, and creating a new U.S. Space Command focused 100% of the time on the space problem. Because I've been in the space business my whole life, and I love the space business, but I'm the STRATCOM commander, and space, at best, will never be higher than my third priority. It has to be nuclear first, nuclear command and control second. Space will never be higher than my third priority. I get to spend so little time on space because I have to focus on the nuclear capability. We need a commander focused on space all the time, and that commander was nominated this week, General J. Raymond, and I hope the Senate takes up that nomination quickly. The second piece is the Space Force. The President said we need a structure inside the Pentagon focused on space all the time, and I support that structure. I have to admit I had some concerns when we were talking about a separate service, separate and distinct from the Air Force. Well, when the President made the decision to said it's got to be under the Air Force, I'm all in. I think the Vice President said it exactly right. He said, so creating the Space Force within the Air Force is the best way to minimize duplication of effort and eliminate bureaucratic inefficiencies. That's what the President and the Vice President told us to do. Now, I understand in meeting with many of you over the last 24 hours that there's some concerns about that, but I just want you to know from my perspective, if you see any bureaucratic inefficiencies in there, if you see any duplication of effort, I would support just taking that stuff out. We need a streamlined focus. The problem we're trying to solve there is there's so many people in the Pentagon that are in charge of space. We need one person in charge of space that will then organize, train, and equip forces for the new U.S. Space Command. That's the structure that has to be out there. I think the President's vision is right, and it's also very similar to where this committee was starting as long as 2 years ago. I think somewhere we can come to agreement on what that is and create that structure that will allow us to deal with the space problems we need in the future. So thank you very much for letting me talk about that.
The gentleman from Ohio.
I just want to thank